Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel and welcome to this twin flame update. As always, we're going to be looking at the twin flame dynamic in terms of the feminine and the masculine energy, where we are right now. Then we'll learn what else do we need to know about the journey, how it manifests for each of the collectives, and finally we'll see how each of the twins are seeing the connection at this time. We will begin as always with an oracle message, and today I've got the Angels and Ancestors deck, one of my favorites. So let's find out. And of course, we are almost in October, so starting tomorrow I'm gonna start publishing October horoscopes. And because we're in Libra season, happy birthday Libra, we're gonna start with Libra and move forward. I hope you guys are doing great. I've been away from these readings for a little while, but I'm back, and this week is gonna be busy with all the horoscopes coming in. And then of course, as soon as I'm done with that, shortly after, we have the full moon, we have the 10-10 portal, so there's gonna be plenty to talk about, believe me. With all that said, let's get started. Of course, remember to like the video, and if you're new, please subscribe to the channel, and you can get a lot more information about my services and my content in the description box. Alrighty, so for feminines, we have the Hunter card. Track down your fears and desires. It's interesting because I actually pulled this card in my daily updates just a couple of days ago, and I was in the forest back then, so it was even more magical, like otherworldly, to have this card. Yeah, the Hunter is very much a masculine energy, so it's calling out to the feminines to awaken that power, right? And to be more, not aggressive, but more assertive in who you are, where you're going, and how do you relate to your fears, right? It's about embracing them, it's about accepting them and moving forward with an aligned action, right? It's not about demotivating yourself towards the action because of the fears. It's also not about repressing or ignoring the fears, but this is about tracking them down and understanding how they map towards your desires, right? Where are they stopping you from following your desires? And it's kind of like that, you know, this in America, there is a popular expression, you know, you can be scared, but do it anyway, right? Be afraid, but do it anyway. It's kind of like that interpretation, but I like to add a nuance there in embracing the fears. It's very important. It's not kind of like I'm gonna ignore the fear and I'm just gonna go. It's like I'm acknowledging this. Yes, I understand this. Show yourself some love there. And that's where that alchemy of feminine and masculine is helping you heal. That's the point of the masculine feminine dynamic. For the masculines today, we have the Star Ancestor. Follow the voice of your soul. It's very much like a star card in tarot, right? It's like it's connecting to the higher power. It's connecting to the cosmos, to the ancestors, to the ethers, right? To sing the song together. I'm hearing actually. Maybe for some people it is about singing. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if the singing resonated. But it's like combining your voices, right? So you're not figuring out everything on your own in this reality. This is more about, how do I put this? This is more about singing in chorus, right? Or at least in harmony between you and the universe, right? Combining those voices in a harmonious way. Right? And the more open and expressive you become, you know, the more you become a channel of that voice, the easier it's going to be to find it. So you don't have to make something up artificially. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, whatever mindfulness practice you're using to connect to your soul, to connect to your higher power, this is what's needed right now, right? You need to hear that voice and then decide how you want to respond or sit along. All right, the main deck for today is going to be the movie tarot deck. So let's see. bottom of the deck, the Emperor. That's that decisiveness that we've seen kind of in both cards, really, in the Hunter and in the Star Ancestors, right? But again, this is using your power for good, not for evil. That's kind of the point, right? It can go either way, always, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's like there are situations in every corner of our life where people either misuse their power or they go into the shadow mode during the power struggle, right? And power struggle doesn't have to look like, you know, official power, like somebody in the government. Don't get me started on that. It can be a power struggle in a romantic relationship between the partners. It can be a power struggle between business partners, even between a client and, you know, whoever is provided the service. Even there could be like, you know, how do we decide on this, right? Or who has the last word here? A lot of people become kind of victims of that dynamic without really realizing it, because it can be pretty covert. It doesn't have to be a villain-like all the time, you know? We have the moon here. Yeah, it could be the emotional. Look at all the major arcanas, by the way. And yes, full moon is coming up. That's one thing to remember. But also, it's like emotions a lot of times take control of us. And then we may think and acknowledge that we have a lot of power in our life. But because of our emotions, because of them taking control over us, we become powerless. So it's a very interesting dynamic to think about and to consider in your next steps. Feminines. Wow, we have 10 of Swords and 4 of Wands. It's like, you know, April showers bring May flowers kind of idea. That there's something that you've really suffered through, that maybe you've cried over a lot, that has been very painful for you. Can be connected to the twin flame journey, can be something separate. I mean, nothing's really separate, but I mean, the dynamic was the DM versus other topics, maybe other relationships, right? But whatever you've been through, whatever catharsis you've gone through, whatever processing and healing you've been doing, it's now opening doors for you within the union, or opportunity to have a conversation about union, right? For some people, it's finally meeting up with that one person, with your person, right? So this is a time to show some gratitude, and it's also a confirmation for, you know, if you feel sometimes that you've been through so much pain and suffering, and for what, you know, there's no good reason for that. This is a confirmation for you that there was a good reason. It was necessary. And maybe you don't have all the details, all the pieces of the puzzles yet, but this is for you to just know and trust that it was important to go through the stuff that you went through. Masculines, for you, we have 3 of Wands clarified by Queen of Coins. So yeah, for you, it's setting intentions for what is next on the horizon for you. You know, where do you want to be? How do you want to connect to the feminine, externally and internally, right? Like, what's your vision right now? Where do you feel that you've got it? You know, the dynamic is quite harmonious with the feminine energy. And where do you feel like you're getting triggered or afraid or aggressive? You know, those kind of emotions, and where there's some work to do, right? So I'm clearly hearing guidance to set some intentions towards looking into those and working through them. For those who feel like they're not ready, it's just too big, too massive, and it doesn't feel like it's the time, think of your relationships with the feminines in general, and see what your stereotypes and prejudices are, right? And you can, these days, of course, you can ask AI to help you brainstorm all these ideas of what they are in general, right? Starting with objectification of women, for example. It doesn't have to be a woman, of course. And finishing with maybe something around particular culture that you're part of, you know, something about the history, maybe, you know, the way feminines behave, how they make decisions. There are lots of prejudices around how they manipulate men into getting what they want. You know, like, it could be more obvious, more subtle, but do a little bit of brainstorming exercise and see where you are and where you may be opinionated, you may be biased in a negative or maybe in a positive way, right? That could also be something, and look into how you can transform that into something more neutral. And a little hint, if you're puzzled by like, how can it be neutral? The neutral is more around how do you value how you see a person versus immediately giving them certain labels, certain traits of character, certain behavioral patterns based on them being feminine, for example, or a masculine. Right, so for additional question for today, we have King of Coins clarified by Ace of Wands. A very masculine energy, right? So what are we showing up for? Where is our ambition necessary right now? And how do we express it to move towards our dreams? For feminines, we have Nine of Coins clarified by Queen of Wands. Oh, I love this. Again, coins and wands, right? Very much like this combination of passion, that excitement, right? That fire and the earthly resources, right? It's like pretty much any of your desires can come true if you put your mind to it, if you ignite it with your passion, right? But that is a necessary part of the recipe. Not just putting in the effort, not just setting affirmations, but also adding that passion, right? And it could be, in most cases, it is an aligned action, right? But it's fueled with passion. Wands are about taking action. And with the hunter, you actually saw that, right? Once you have that strategy, you have that vision, that could be your ignition, that spark to then take the action in alignment with that strategy. For masculines, we see King of Cups clarified by King of Wands. Look at that. We've got a couple now, King and Queen of Wands, respectively. I love it. This one has two kings and they're very different kings. This is the feminine energy. This is the masculine energy, right? And again, I was just talking so much about this alchemy and also the relationship of the masculine towards the feminine energy, just in general, right? It doesn't have to be with a romantic partner. So this is a continuation of it. So the more you pinpoint where you may be having some limited beliefs or some blocks or some triggers around feminines in general and your relationship with them, your dynamic, the more you unfold that and process it, the more you're going to blossom in your masculine energy, right? And it's going to be a more balanced masculinity, right? Where it's like there is place for acknowledging feelings and emotions, there is a place for passion, that fire, and moving forward with ambition, right? And I mean, we both need both both feminines and masculines need both energies, absolutely. And the more they are in balance, the easier it's going to be to get to where you want to be in life with any goals that you set for yourself. So how are the feminines seeing the connection at this time? We see Queen of Cups clarified by King of Swords. Look at all the kings and queens today. This is crazy. But with this combination, I would say, this is the main card. But the feminines can see that there's still certain rigidness with how masculine see the future, see the feminine, and, how there's difference in views of how this can unfold, what's the importance, the value in the connection, things like that. So there is still a difference, there's a gap that needs to be bridged for this to move forward. But there's a lot of progress that's been done because king and queen are the masters of their suit, right? And if you think about it, these are also like the relevant elements, because the water, the cups is the feminine element, and then we have the swords, which is the masculine element for the king, the masculine, right? But it feels like maybe for the feminines that each of the twins has been focusing on their specific paradigm, right? Masculines on the masculine side, feminines on the feminine. But now we need to bridge the gap where we start understanding each other in a different way. How the masculine see in the connection? We have, wow, 10 of Cups clarified by King of Coins. This is like a jackpot of kings, seriously. And I'm pretty sure that we already saw, oh, we saw the Queen of Coins, so we have another couple now. Beautiful, I love it. This was actually also for the masculine. But anyway, so how the masculine seen it? They seen it as like the be-all, end-all, at least for their emotional fulfillment. Depending, of course, on particular couple and situation, you know, when they dream of the future with the feminine, or they even think about maybe the last time they saw them and, you know, what was happening, and like that joy, that happiness, right, it comes back, right? The reminiscence brings a lot of joy again. And this is like, wow, I never thought that I would ever be able to find a person who I'm so in sync with, who I don't need to tolerate, who I don't need to explain too much, right? Or we don't need to just settle for like, okay, well, I guess I'll never understand that part of you, but so what? You know, like we can live with that. No, we don't need to settle. Like this could be amazing, right? And this actually encourages masculine to become more ambitious and setting more goals and going further in life, right? Like to be that provider and protector for the union, for the couple, right? To do their part. So again, this is an example of how that feminine emotional injection, right? It ignites the masculinity and the masculine energy within the DM. I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope this was useful. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And until next time,